I call the meeting to order, the Land and Facility Management Committee meeting for February 15, 2023. Roll call, please.
Rod Planis.
Here.
Tina Marquette-Dalvin. Here. Andy Marlboro.
Thank you very much. All right, item 2A, to receive a report from Andy Depositary on Thibodeau Middle School. Andy, you have the floor.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. A few things going on at the middle school. Actually, a lot of things going on at the middle school, but I'll go over my report just real briefly. The current contract sum is just over $28.6 million. Out of that total sum, you have paid out a little over $21.6 million, or 75% of the contract sum. The contract is about, numerically speaking, about 75% complete with the project. Comparing that to the time that has elapsed, as of the date of the report, they were a little over 51% through with the time. So just quickly comparing those two, they're a little bit ahead of schedule as far as, money to time comparison. Mrs. Dalcom reported to you in the earlier committee that classroom wings are scheduled to start being turned over to you for a move-in, I think the week of June 4th. They'll be for 6th and 7th grades, followed very shortly thereafter by the 8th grade wing that's on the second floor. Right now in there they are painting first coats of paint, so there's a lot of finish that's starting to get put on. In the other areas, the band room, admin areas, the gym, they're still doing mechanical, electrical, plumbing, rough ends, things like that. But it is very quickly taking shape. The outside of the building, you've probably seen if you passed by recently, some bricks going up across the front of the building. I do want to say, and I mentioned it to them at our monthly meeting yesterday, the brick as they're going up still has to be cleaned. So you may get phone calls or you may pass by and say this brick looks terrible, it's hazy. That's going to get cleaned up. So in case you get calls or questions about that. Okay, everything on as far as information goes. I know there's some change order items, but I'll defer back to you.
Any comments from the public on Mr. Andy just reported to us? Any comments from the board? Okay. Do you need a motion? Is there a motion? No, it's a report. No motion. Okay. I do want to say something. Before I came in late to today's meeting, it was still daylight, so I ran by. I drove around the entire city block, you could say. If you have not seen that school recently, go see what our tax dollars are building for these beautiful students in the Thibodeau area. It is a mansion. I don't think they're going to realize it until they really get in. Like we did at Bayou Blue when we got our new upper elementary school. It's just unbelievable. And yes, the bricks are dirty. But I know they whitewash them or do what they have to do.
Yeah, they do a series of cleaning and then they'll get sealed at the end. So
if you haven't seen it, the lights are on. If you pass at night, you will see that the lights are on. Just don't go knocking on the door yet. Okay, that's all I ask. It's still a construction site.
Yes.
I don't want you to drive off the back end because it cement ends and there's like a slough. So please don't do that. But thank y'all for everything that y'all doing. Thank you. Item B. To consider a change order request to add 9 days to the contract at Thibodeau Middle School.
Yes, sir. We're asking and recommending tonight that you approve a change order to add 9 days to the contract at Thibodeau Middle School for inclement weather encountered in January, and there are some details associated with that. Mr. Depositary would share those with you.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, so out of the 9 days, 3 of those days are rain days for January, this past month. So again, as we've done every previous month, we come to each month with rain days for that month. It's a stipulation in the contract and the math is provided for us, so we recommend the approval of those 3 days. There are 6 days that are kind of related to the other 2 change order items for some electrical work. I don't know if you want to handle those separately, but the other 6 days are related to the electrical work that will be discussed in the other 2 agenda items.
You're going to vote on the rain day, item B, and the other 2 items.
All right, do I have a motion to vote on the 3 rain days for January? Motion, Mr. Ms. Madden, second, Ms. Morgan. All right, any, public discussion? Any board discussion?
Hold on. As a matter of clarity, Andy, so the most, we're looking at 9 days, or we're looking at 3 days.
So this recommendation letter has 3 items in it. Each one of those 3 items has 3 days associated with them.
So in aggregate, we need to add 9 days. Is that your recommendation?
Yes, sir.
Which is the request to add those days, but it's not only rain, it's other related delays that cause the aggregated 9 days. So
That is
the motion
correct.
needs to be clear to that effect, and then the financial changes occur in item B and C. That was clear.
That's correct.
Okay. So we'll
Do
go
we
back
need
to
a
the
motion to
original.
change the motion?
No, the motion he spoke is not accurate. The motion written is.
Okay.
So, what do we do with the first motion?
I think you can just get a second motion that reads as written.
All right, so I need a motion to consider a change order request to add 9 total days to the contract at the Thibodeau Middle School. Ms. Madden first, Ms. Walpole second. All right, any discussion from the general public? Any from the board? All right, I ask you to please vote. Motion passes. Item C, to consider a change order request for Thibodeau Middle School exterior lights.
In relation to a portion of the days that you just approved, asking you to consider a change order request for Thibodeau Middle School to add 15 additional exterior lights to the building and 2 in-ground flagpole lights to increase the visibility and safety during the nighttime hours in the amount of $33,427.
Have a motion?
Sure, I'll motion.
Ms. Babin, first, and Ms. Marlboro second. So, anything else you would like to say about that, or just?
No, sir. These are additional lighting across the front of the building, so that we can, it's really for additional, as the recommendation states in the letter, for additional security, just to light that up. We added 2 flagpole light fixtures. The flag was gonna stay on the pole 24/7. It needs to be lit. So at the time we designed, we just weren't sure. So anyway, that's the resolution to those items.
Any comment from the general public? Any comments from the board members? Ms. Marion?
Why would we need 3 extra days of the lights?
Contractor had requested it, just additional work to run wires, to set the boxes, to get, they had to order the fixtures too, so it's a little bit of time for that.
All right, thank you for that explanation. Any other comments from the board? Not I ask you to please vote. At this point, we are at 6 total days of the 9.
Yes, sir.
All right, so item D, to consider a change order request for Thibodeau Middle School HVAC accessories.
Yes. Recommended action would be to approve the change order request for Thibodeau Middle School to provide additional electrical circuits, conduits, and accessories for the HVAC units at the rear of the building, near the gym, as required to properly power and operate the HVAC units in the amount of $38,260.
Have a motion? Marlboro first, second, Mrs. Bowden. All right, anything you'd like to say first that you have before?
The only thing I would add is that, so the sum of the two electrical items, we actually in the original bid package had a $75,000 allowance in the bid for electrical stuff. That allowance was used in a prior change order that the previous board had approved. If we wouldn't have used it, we would have had that allowance money here. But this final item is for, the units that are in the back at the gym are slightly different, larger HVAC units that have some additional electrical power requirements. So this item is to resolve that conflict.
Any comments from the public? Any comments from a board member? If not, I ask you please vote. Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Handy.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, next item, item 3, Gosson Holloway Cortez. I think we have Mr. Justin representing tonight. To receive a report from Mr. Justin on the security phase 6.
Good evening, board members. So the Security Phase 6 project is a project that takes place at 3 different middle school sites, Bayou Blue Middle School, 6th Ward Middle School, LaRose Cutoff Middle School. The original contract sum for this project was $1,288,000. Approved change orders to date is at $98,220. So we have a current contract value of $1,308,955.78. Total contract percentage paid and pending, we're at 93.01%. The notice to proceed was issued February 11th. Contract time was 414 calendar days, of which time elapsed is 370 days. We have a percentage of time elapsed is 89%. So we're at about, we've paid more and more of the project's been completed versus the amount of time that's been expended on the job. Some items at each of the sites that still need to be completed are the final, at Bayou Blue Middle School, we have the fire marshal's final inspection needs to happen, which the contractor is getting close to requesting that. And then we have on the report that once this is issued, we'll complete the punch list inspection. We've actually done the punch list on these projects already, so that's being generated, and a copy of that will be forwarded to the school board. 6th Ward Middle School, we're in the same spot there with that project. Everything's pretty similar across the board. The only difference on that site is we met with the principal and Jared Grove to discuss the addition of possibly 2 handicap accessible parking spaces. When the fencing was put up at the gymnasium, that site is all gravel parking, so there's no access for handicapped accessibility except for if you pull straight up to that front drop-off point in front of the gym. So we thought it would be a good idea to add that. So we're working with the contractor to get a price to see what it would take to add 2 spots and a walkway to go to the front entrance. And then at LaRose Cutoff Middle School, we are still waiting on the canopy that was approved in the last change order. And they have an anticipated delivery date of April, of the end of April. And then it'll be installed at that point. And that's it for this project.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Item 4. 4A, to receive a report from Daniel Bruce for Golden Meadow Lower Elementary School. Mr. Bruce, you have the floor.
Good evening, everyone. Golden Meadow HVAC is stuck in the mud, almost literally. They were expected to receive the balance of their air conditioning equipment on the 16th of February on the 8th of February, which was last week. I was notified that that equipment was not going to arrive. So we've paid the contract about 16%, about $284,000, which is all the equipment that they do have. They've installed everything they have. There's about 60% of the equipment is installed. They were supposed to be finished this project on the 22nd of February. So they are requesting, and that's going to be coming up on the next item, basically a 150-day contract time extension because they still do not have all the equipment to finish the project. And now all of our holidays are pretty much gone. Christmas holiday was going to be a big holiday for them to get a lot of that equipment installed because it was a 2-week holiday. Now we got Mardi Gras next week, which is only a week, and then Easter's only a week. So they're not going to be able to get this done in that short a period of time over a 1-week period. They probably need 2 or 3 weeks. So the best instance would A, that we still don't have equipment, and B, they need summer. They need a 3-week window, and we got to take the kitchen hood offline for a little bit of time. So that means that they wouldn't be able to cook while that's going on. So the best thing to do is just give them through the summer to get all the rest of this completed. They've done everything they could. They've got the outside condenser units installed. They got all the interior equipment installed. They're just lacking equipment to finish. So that's where we are with Golden Meadow. And we do have a letter. I know it's the next item, but with your package, should be with your packet.
All right, item B. Consider a change order request to add 150 days to the contract at Golden Meadow Lower Elementary School.
Sir, the requested change order for the 150 days is due to the delay of the HVAC equipment and to allow time to finish the work without disrupting the students. The work would take place over the summer. The recommended action would be to accept the change order for 150 positions.
Any motion? Motion by Mrs. Babin, second by Mrs. Mulbrew. Any comments or discussion from the general public? All right. Any board members? Report.
It takes us to
And then it's on all the side, right?
August, yeah.
July. It's July.
July,
Like
okay.
mid-July.
So,
Yes.
my comment would be, we just need you to keep us posted when this.
We visit the project site regularly. We get phone calls. I call, text, call, like, what's the status? We have letters in that packet from the manufacturer stating that they're going to arrive by February 16th, and they won't. So I don't know what to do. I mean, it's
Our hands are tied, I guess, at this point.
what they are, waiting on that equipment.
I have a question about that site that's not related to the HVAC, but the metal covers for the bus ramp and the entrance. Is that, I don't know if that's under your umbrella or not, because I know that the work is being done right now for the bus load area to replace that cover that was damaged. But what's the plan for the front entrance? Is that covered walkway going to be replaced, the metal, or is that part of the plan or not really?
The south side bus canopy is our project. That should be completed by the end of the week. The front of the building, we presented to Mr. Martin and to the staff at Golden Meadow. We're actually doing an addition, a proposed addition to that school that's going to basically become the front covered entry. So that is a project that now is going to have FEMA involvement, safety involvement, and general fund involvement in that project. So we presented that and we're going to move forward with it. Unfortunately, we're going to have to go through the FEMA process because we have ground disturbing activities, which is going to take a little bit of time to process that. But that's the replacement of the canopy is the new building.
I haven't thought, but I wasn't concerned about.
So I guess my question, and I don't need you to explain what the process is, but is there a process as we get closer to summer? What if it's a further delay? Like at this point, if we have letters from the manufacturer saying February 16th, and we know that that's not happening, what happens as we approach summer if these items still haven't arrived? Like, Is there a process in place, or is this something that we need to have on our radar?
So the optimistic side of me is saying that we're going to get the equipment in, and we're going to be finished.
Hopefully.
The option, I mean, unfortunately, it's like a system. So like everything works and talks to each other. So like we have 65%, 66% of the system installed, and we're waiting on the other components to get here. We're kind of stuck. We can't just go buy something else and just put it in its place. We have to have that component that fits with the rest of the system. So the only option would be to continue to extend contract time until we have all of the equipment installed. Now we know the main thing, I mean, the existing air conditioning system works. So the kids are being conditioned, everything's fine with the building. We're replacing it. So the last thing that happens is that old equipment gets pulled out after the other system is online. So we're always going to have an air conditioning system at the school. So that's not a concern. But we can't take the old system out until the new system is fully commissioned and ready to go. So that's the time delay. So if we keep, I guess, the old term of kicking the can down the road until we have it all in place would be we just have to keep moving the end date.
Eventually, we're going to run out of road, so we have to be.
So
we have to
we're
be
going to get the
realistic about it.
equipment. I mean, it's the same similar equipment that we're putting at the Thibodeau Middle School project. So it's all similar equipment. So we're just waiting on that supply chain to get back online. So the short answer is that we'd have to bump it further if we do not have that equipment in time.
How long have you already been waiting for this part?
They ordered this equipment in June.
June.
We've been waiting. When they ordered the equipment originally, we were told 18 to 22 weeks to get the equipment in place, to get the equipment on site. And I think we were at right at 20 something weeks at the last board meeting, and now we're at 26 weeks. So we knew, and that's why, in general, it shouldn't take this long to do this project, but the equipment lead time was the big thing, and that's why we gave them 8 months to complete the project, and that apparently wasn't enough time. We just have this issue.
Any other questions or concerns? I'll ask you please to vote.
And one that's going to do
It it passes, we'll move on. Once again, thank you, sir, for your report.
Thank you.
Item 5, to receive a report from Mr. Bob Bernard with All South Consulting on Hurricane Ida damages. Mr. Bob, you have the floor.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Ashley, if you would go to page 3, please. We're going to start from the back with upcoming bids. So this week we had 2 bid openings, Supplepush High School interiors. Good news to report on that. We had 5 bidders. The budget was $3 million, and the low bid came in at $2,646,000. That's about $350,000 below budget. So that's a plus. We like seeing that. We'll be presenting that later. Ms. LaFawn will after I'm done. We also had another bid for the interiors at Thibodeau High, PAC, Thibodeau Elementary, and West Thibodeau. That one was a little bit different. We had 2 bidders. The budget was $317,000. Low bid came in at 400 and how much was that one? 448,000. That's about 130,000 over budget. So it happens. And look, the nature of the work kind of dictates that, because it's interior work, it's Mod Podge, it's spread out. You didn't have a lot of interest in it. So 2 is better than 1 and better than none. So FEMA recognizes that. They look at contractors' costs. They don't look at architects' budgets, right? I mean, they do a good job predicting what it might cost, but real world is what you get on bid day, and that's what they recognize. So that 130 will be eligible for reimbursement. Any questions on those two bids? Okay. March bids we have coming up, Cutoff Elementary interiors. We have a demo package that we're trying to get done during the summer. Our kids are away. There's some buildings that are in pretty bad shape that we want to get out and done with over the summer, so that's going to happen over that time period. And then we're also doing Raceland Upper, and I've talked about this before, but it's VAT abatement, the new LVT floors, and we're also going to pick up about, 6 to 8 classrooms that are not occupied right now due to damages. So we're going to get those fixed and ready to go. That way, when we do start on the big package of the interiors, we'll have that space to move kids around. And that's going to be coming up later, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. That's March. We go into April. The only, job of significance in April will be Central Lafourche High School. That's a pretty big roof project. Good news, that roof isn't leaking. We don't have any active leaks. We're in pretty good shape there. So, but that will be coming out, and that work will get started. And then finally, we roll into May. May is all the smaller projects, just all over the district. In fact, we're looking at possibly combining all of these into one bid package. Again, it's going to be similar to what we had at the Thibodeau schools. We're hoping that this is going to maybe get more interest. Instead of breaking it up like we had thought about doing it, we're going to put this together in one big bid package. The value is going to be about $450,000. So we'll see how we do when that time comes. Okay, the schedule that I have attached, if you go to the next page, page 4, this is something I put together last meeting. We didn't look at it, but it gives you a rundown of the projects, when they're bidding, and when they're going to be completed. This particular table is sorted in substantial completion dates, and it gives you just a general idea. It's not exact. Things change, schedules change, but it gives you an idea of when we're going to be completed and what's on the horizon. So last page, if you look at this, most of the work that we're doing right now is going to be finished by the end of this year. We're going to have some work that's going to go into next year, right? And depending on rain and delays, it may go past that. But for the most part, all the work is under contract and will be completed by the end of this year. The big ones are the ones at the bottom, to be determined, and those are pretty significant. Golden Meadow Lower, although not a lot of damage, Daniel mentioned that's going to be combined with the admin, band building, and library. There is some FEMA funds that are tied with it, so that has to be considered, but not a big deal. I mean, we're going to work around that when we get to that time. Share and ROTC, those are both FEMA 50%ers, and those just take time. Daniel's working on this with our FEMA team to put the packet together for their review and approval. So that's a to be determined. And then the other three, Golden Meadow Middle, IU Buff Elementary, and Raceland Upper are mitigation projects that are pretty extensive, and again, takes time. So, superintendent, in our meeting last week, wanted us to put together a FEMA special items schedule, which we're working on. We haven't completed that yet, but in a couple of weeks, we're going to give you guys a timeline on when we think all of this is going to hit. We know how long it's going to take to build it once we determine that. The big question mark is how long it's going to take FEMA to do their thing, review it, approve it, so we can start building. And that's the unknown. So we're working on putting that schedule together so y'all have a clear picture, or as clear as we can make it, on when that work is going to happen. Any questions on scheduling? All right, back to page 1. At South Lafourche High School, nothing new to report on that one other than roof work is ongoing, will be completed around mid-April. We already have the interior scheduled to start in the summer. So a lot of work is going to be done inside that school this summer. We're going to knock out a good bit of it, hopefully, and see how that goes. The ball field, Central Lafourche, South Lafourche, and Thibodeau High School. Thibodeau High School is substantially complete. So they're using that field, looks great. It's in play as we speak. South Lafourche High School baseball field, a little issue with that one we're trying to work through. Had a problem with the ground sleeves that were put in. They put them in crooked. So when you put the poles in, you have a little lean to it. But I think we have a remedy for it. The engineers are working with the contractor on a solution, which is basically to cut the pole at an angle, re-weld it so it's plumb, you put it in the sleeve, and be good to go. So it sounds like I talked to the architect today. He and his engineer are going to bless it. Grand Isle Shipyard is the contractor. They know how to cut pipe, they know how to weld pipe, and they know how to paint pipe. So it's going to be as good as it was designed to be, right? They just have to modify it at their cost, obviously, because it was their mistake. But we're trying to get them an answer. Once we get the paperwork from the architect and engineer, I'm going to sit down with you, and we'll get a reply back to them that they can proceed with that work. It should take them about 1 week to do that, the modifications to it. And once that's done, then it's just putting them into the sleeve and hanging the neck. That's 2 days of work. March 7th is I think the first game. So if we get a quick answer, they get it done. Meeting that deadline shouldn't be an issue. Any questions? Okay. Question? Yes.
So those are the black things that like they had at Central. Okay, there. Bear with me because I'm not a construction person, but one would think if it's a brand new pole, it would come with some kind of warranty. And if you have to cut it, then who's going to warranty it? I mean, it's kind of a stupid question.
No, it's not. That's really not a stupid question. It's a good question. So the warranty, their warranties are not. You got the warranty. The warranty you get with that is a coating on the material. Although they're designed for the wind zone that they're in, they won't stand behind that. In other words, the poles are designed to withstand 150 mile an hour winds, but they're not warranted for that, if that makes sense. So what Grand Isle Shipyard is doing by cutting the post, right, doesn't void a warranty on that part because there's really none, to be honest with you. If you look at the warranty that you get with it, it's not much to it. But the engineer is approving the design, right? He's going to approve that. And the coating that they're going to put on it will be as good as the coating that's on it now, right? Because when you cut the pipe, you weld it, you will obviously mess up that coating. So, yeah. No, it's a very good question.
Thank you.
What about the Central Lafourche?
Central Lafourche is substantially complete. So they're playing there now. The sidewalks were poured. The limestone was put in where the bleachers go. The bleachers aren't ready. They're there, but that's another conversation that has to be had. And I'll give you just briefly what's going on with that. But in the meantime, the district has purchased temporary bleachers to put that they're going to be able to use at different facilities, or probably that facility, the football stadium, after baseball. The bleachers that were designed are on site, ready to be put in, but they were not elevated like the other bleachers were that were damaged. I don't want to bore you with details, but in the meantime, we're looking at, and I think we have the price, it's I think $104,000 for the elevation package, which includes, to raise it, the platforms, ramps, and steps. We're in the process of making sure that this will be FEMA eligible. So that's why it's on hold. I'm going to go on a limb and say it should be, because that's what was there before. And typically, it's like in kind, but FEMA sometimes makes their own rules. So, this is a big one. So we need to do our due diligence, vet it, And then at some point, we'll come to the board with a recommendation, put it out there. One more thing about that, the reason they didn't go in, well, that's the main reason, but we do have time because they're gonna wait till the end of baseball season to put these bleachers in, either at ground level or elevated 3 foot.
Well, you
Well, I just kind of thought of something that y'all said about repairs at West. Repairs at West.
You got that?
Well, yeah. So if we're going to not be in the school next year, are those repairs necessary to complete the school year?
Minor. We took out, so at West and East, at East, we're gonna do the cafeteria floor, because the kitchen and cafeteria will stay, right? The rest of the campus, we're not touching. So West, pretty much the same thing. There's, I think, some maybe broken windows that we're gonna change out. Little things.
I was wondering.
No, it's, you got that. And then the money will be capped and used as an alternate project, so you still get that money, right? And it's gonna be used, wherever we decide to put it, but it's gonna go back into the program, and it has to be used, for hurricane-related issues, so St. Charles would be a good candidate, that classroom addition we're doing would be a place that we could put it. Okay? Second page, we're gonna skip. Page 3, governmental upper. I may have touched on this. We got the schematics from the architect for a temporary band building. So we had like 5 temporary buildings in the back of that campus that were pretty much totaled. We looked at maybe bringing one back to life for the band room, but it's not worth it. So they're going to be there for probably 2 or 3 years as we work on go to middle with the mitigation. So the principal asked for a band room, and we're going to try to get that put in for him. Again, it should be FEMA eligible because it's a need. Yeah, that's in the works. Okay. All right, that's all I have. Unless anyone has questions. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Bob. We'll now move on to new business. To consider a bid for Hurricane Ida repairs to South Lafourche High School.
Yes, as you heard Mr. Bernard mention, we had 5 bids on this project. Our recommendation is to accept the low bid from Thompson Construction for a base bid in the amount of $2,645,500. Alternate number 1 in the amount of $290,100. Alternate number 2 in the amount of $12,980. And alternate number 3 in the amount of $174,000. The Hurricane Ida repairs to South Lafourche High School.
Mr. Bruce, you'd like to have the floor for now?
You said 12,000 on alternate number 2. I thought it was 37,000 on alternate number 2.
37?
It is.
I think you jumped on. Okay. Oh, okay.
There's a mistake.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, alternate number
Okay,
2.
sure.
It's 37 on the chart.
And the recommendation letter says 37 as well. To make sure we get that correct.
All right, Mr. Bruce, you have the floor before we get a motion.
So, again, the bids were under budget, 2 of the 3. The $3 million budget came in at $2,600,000. 150-day contract time, cross your fingers. Which would, so the concentration will be part 1, part 2. It's actually 3 phases. Part 1 is all of the classroom admin spaces. Part 2 is any other space that's not classroom and admin, and then part 3 is the auditorium. So basically, through the duration of the project, they can work on the auditorium, but we want to try to get all the classroom spaces and admin spaces done over the summer. So we gave them 75 days to complete all classrooms and all admin spaces. We should have those rooms back online prior to the beginning of school. Just to let you know.
So I need a motion, please. Motion, Ms. Jamie Marlborough, second, Ms. Bannon.
HVAC.
Any questions for Mr. Bruce from the audience? Any questions from board members? Nope, we have.
What about the auditorium? When y'all thinking that might be?
So the auditorium has air conditioning work.
So pretend we get the equipment.
So if we get all of the equipment, it's 150 total days. So if they get everything like they're supposed to, they should be finished at mid-August, like mid to late August. 150 days projected from about, I think it's an April 3rd start date, would put them through August. So maybe the first month of school, then they can have their auditorium back. And that would put the main building of South Bush High School and the ag building of South Bush High School back in full working order.
Excellent question. Any additional questions, Mr. Bruce, on this? All right, if none, please vote. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you all so
Thank
much.
you very much. Right, new business, item B. To consider a bid for hurricane idle repairs at the Beautiful Appraisal Center, Thibodeau Elementary School, Thibodeau High School, and West Thibodeau Middle School.
And this is the bid that Mr. Bernard talked about. The recommendation is to accept the low bid from Knockhands Painting in the amount of $448,200 for hurricane idle repairs at the Appraisal Center, Thibodeau Elementary School, Thibodeau High School, and West Thibodeau Middle School.
A motion? Ms. Bannon, second. Ms. Marlborough, is there anybody here to represent? Okay, well then, all right, Mr. Reed is, or his associates, nobody here for that? All right.
Answer any questions if there's.
All right. Okay, so is there any questions from the public? Comments? All right, board member questions, comments?
That's not,
Any questions, additional questions or comments from the board? Okay, with none, we ask you please vote. Item passes. Item C, to consider a request from Central Lafourche Youth Basketball Association. Right. A motion, please. Ms. Marlborough first, second by Ms. Robbins. All right, sir.
Just asking to get access to the,
If you don't mind.
okay,
Name.
Antonio Nieves,
There you go. And I think you need his address, or you live where you live. You
two
reside.
thirty-six Sycamore Street.
Thank you. That's
Sugar
on the
Land
record.
subdivision.
All right. You have the floor, sir.
We're asking for access to the Graceland Middle School gym to do basketball practices for the All-Star program. I've submitted the paperwork to Ms. Osborne. Are you guys aware of that? Yeah, okay. All right. And some of the practice dates that we put on there, obviously, we'll try to hold to whatever schedule we do get agreed. Principal. Coach is there, accommodate their schedule.
So, a comment from you on your part on this?
No, other than
Okay.
the checklist does include, the betting information.
So everything is in order? Any comments from the general public? Any comments from the board?
Is this the All-Stars of the recreational district?
Yes, ma'am.
Because I know a lot of the teams or the boys basketball
they also play rec?
So we will. So this is just, I guess, the first leg of the race. I'm asking for the All-Star and also for it's Biddy, but it's Central Boost. What we did is we combined Graceland and Lockport, and tried to make one group, which was successful because we had 450 kids that participated through the season. So it was really successful, and we look to see more than that. And so we're just trying to get this started so that when we do get in the process next year during the regular season, we're going to need more gym space. And also we do build a relationship with the school board. It's going to help us when we do tournaments because it limits us to our tournament teams because we only really would have one facility, which is the Lockport Rec Center. And it's sometimes a challenge to get that. So if we can get a relationship with the school board and utilize some of the school gyms, we can bring even more teams here when we do tournaments and have bigger tournaments, more turnout, and then more competition for our kids here locally. So that's what we're looking to do. And then in the future, probably next month, I'll come with some other coaches. We do have a program, Ball Hard Elite, and we probably will have 4 teams, possibly 5 teams, depends on how many kids we get to sign up. And again, that's dependent on the facility that we can utilize, and it's encouraging to the coaches when we do have access to gyms because it does get tough when we don't have gym space. Because then our kids don't practice and then we can't compete as well as some of the other teams. So right now we're actually utilizing Holy Savior's gym. I don't know if you guys seen that gym. I mean, we're grateful for it. We actually have kids there now practicing. So we're looking forward to possibly using some of the gymnasiums. Hopefully we can move in that direction.
Excellent. We're just, you are aware that you all will be responsible for the custodial fees.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and
Yes, sir.
it's in there, but I just want to make sure that.
Whatever we would have to pay for, obviously, just let us know ahead of time and we'll try to put that in the budget when we do set it, you know.
Excellent.
For kids.
I know in the past, we have, as a board, we have graciously done this for organizations like yourself. Thank you for your commitment to the youth of this parish. It's just wonderful that y'all are able to do that. You and whoever, your coaches, parents, the children themselves. We look forward to getting some reports on them, how they doing, things like that. Because I've noticed recently in the local papers, do they even report on high school sports anymore?
Easy just
Easy just
Who's
search
Gazette.
Who's Gazette.
Need to follow him on Facebook.
Absolutely.
You know, so
Easy,
I just find that odd. I was looking for high school basketball scores the other day. Had nothing to do with this, but I didn't see any reports.
Bayou Sports, I think it's Bayou
Yeah,
Sports.
Bayou Sports,
Okay,
and they
thank you.
go to various,
Excellent. One.
games and report live.
Even reports in middle school.
Yeah.
Good. All right, so we're gonna go back to the item. We ask you with no additional comments or anything, questions? We ask you please vote.
I'm cheaper than the rest of the guys I've seen here.
Motion passes. Congratulations. Like I say, thank you for the work that you do.
So who do I communicate to?
It's awful.
This item? All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay. All right, item D on the new business. To receive a report from lead accountant, Ms. Shasta Chesson, in reference to ongoing project budgets. You have the floor.
Good evening. Our major funds have 2 bond referendums. The 2017 bond has a total referendum of $19,214,000. The total budget for these projects equals $17,852,000. The actuals and encumbrances total $17,192,000, with $663,000 that remain for these projects. And we also have a total of $1,362,000, which are still undedicated in this fund. And then with our 2021 bond, we have a total referendum of $48,291,000. The budgets for these projects total $38,288,000. Actuals and encumbrances total 33,107,000, with 5,181,000 remaining for these projects, and we also have a total of 10,003,000 which are still undedicated.
Thank you for your report. Any questions for her by any chance? Would like to put her on the spot? I don't see anything else past this. Without nothing else being brought up,